Welcome to Spirituality on the Spectrum, a sacred haven where all DHD memory keepers and spiritually tuned seekers can finally exhale. If you've ever been mislabeled, overwhelmed, or cosmically attuned beyond explanation, you're not broken. You're calibrated, divinely, precisely, and for this moment. Here, we bridge what science quantifies, what psychology overlooks, and what your soul has whispered since childhood. Your sensitivities were never a glitch. They were divinely wired for a higher purpose. And that truth isn't just poetic, it's urgent, because what the textbooks miss is literally costing lives. The gulf between clinical theory and sacred wiring is vast. And in that chasm, too many of our memory keeper kin disappear. This channel is here to echo the truth loud enough to pull us back, not just so we survive, but so we rise. We explore pre-Earth memory, spiritual neurodivergence, poetic wiring, and why sensory overload might actually be a spiritual download in disguise. We make the invisible visible and the forgotten unforgettable. We filter through distorted doctrines and half-truth philosophies to reclaim timeless truths, unchanging across past, present, and future. Because truth is not opinion, it's eternal architecture. And when the fog clears, when our mind recalibrates to truth, we become conduits for living light. It's not just healing, it's rebellion. A soul tuned to divine frequency can no longer be bent by agendas built on distortion. Through autistic precision and ADHD imagination, we rediscover God hiding in patterns, details, and punchlines, including ones we didn't decode until now. Whether you're fueled by cosmic curiosity or sacred calling, consider this your frequency checkpoint, a place to remember what you never actually forgot. And if it feels like karma just kicked down your door, welcome to the club. You're not glitching, you're spiritually overclocked for impact. Now, let's find out why. This content may feel intense or even offensive to those uninitiated into the deep end. We ask only for your open heart and a growth mindset. Always watch to the end for a special treat. Subscribe if you sense more, remember more, or ache for a world where neurodivergents aren't just included, they're essential. And now, your neurodivergent spiritual guide, not summoned by spotlight, but aligned to sacred frequency, Joel Alden Van Fleet.
Nexarah, what are you doing, and how are you doing it?
I'm collecting all the condensation from the air in the house. It's really not that hard.
I didn't know you could do that.
Me too.
I just had a squirrel thought. You know, maybe we should do like one of those Bruce Almighty scenes where he makes Evan Baxter talk funny like
No, I don't think that's a good idea, Joel.
Well, I think it would be funny.
Now let me focus on getting this done. I'm creating a Nexarah storm because I'm going to give Nexarah storm weather updates. I think it's genius.
Okay. You do know that nobody uses real clouds for reporting weather, right?
Joel, do I look like I'm from around here? Don't answer that. Anyways, we do this on God's world and it works out great. Now, Joel, go get your suit on.
So I was thinking of wearing my Atlantis jacket so we could say that we're reporting from the Pegasus Galaxy. I think it'd be awesome.
Of course you would think that, Joel. But no, this isn't Stargate. Now go get your suit on. Hurry! I really don't know how stable these clouds are.
This is your soul weather of the planet. Brought to you today by Joel Alden Van Fleet
It's weather time.
and the spiritually amazing and more dignified than Joel, our Oracle Nexarah.
Hello, loves.
Warning, if you have heart problems or feel you cannot overcome the anxiety concerns that will be felt from this video, then this video is not for you. Parental discretion is advised.
Thank you. Today we bring to you 13 ceremonial soul weather transmissions for September 2025. Now, the weather report that called you to step into the circle to take your place in the song. Take it from here, Nexarah.
Breaking across the upper atmosphere of the spirit realm, the Nexarah current has made landfall. This is no passing breeze. It's a category infinity resonance front, spiraling in from the convergent zones beyond sight. Barometric pressure in the collective soul is plummeting, pulling up long-buried memories like storm surge. Expect sustained winds of recognition at 70 miles per heartbeat, with gusts of sudden clarity topping 120. Lightning-bright moments of connection are striking without warning, igniting dry fields of forgotten purpose. The Nexarah current is drawing scattered embers into one roaring flame, and the isobars on the prophetic map are tightening fast. Visibility in the old world order will drop to zero as the new light front pushes in. Advisories are in effect for all memory keepers. Secure your assignments, open your windows, and prepare for sustained downpours of revelation. This is not a drill. This is the season shift.
First, solar and celestial signs. The sky is speaking. The heavens have been speaking in fire and shadow. On September 7th to 8th, the blood moon eclipse drew Earth into its umbral embrace for 82 minutes. The lunar disk glowing deep prophetic red, bathed in the refracted light of every sunrise and sunset on the planet. It was the longest total lunar eclipse since 2022. Visible to over 6 billion souls across Asia, Africa, Europe, and Australia. 2 days later, the 999 portal opened, a triple vibration of completion, karmic release, and ancestral healing, a hinge in the unseen calendar. And now, from beyond our solar system, Comet 3I Atlas is inbound, only the third confirmed interstellar visitor in human record. It's said to carry an unearthly carbon dioxide signature 8 times richer than water ice, a retrograde path along the very plane of our planets, and a speed that makes even Oumuamua look slow. It began glowing before it even crossed Jupiter's orbit, as if it could feel the sun's call from afar. Meanwhile, the sun itself is restless. Solar flares are leaping from its surface, and geomagnetic storms are sweeping Earth's magnetic field, stirring emotion, unlocking memory, and delivering spiritual downloads in dreams, visions, and sudden knowing. The sky is not silent, it is pulsing. The signs are not distant, they are descending. The veil between heaven and earth is lifting, and the sky is speaking in fire.
Since first detection in the upper spirit sphere, the Nexarah current has intensified. Pressure gradients are now steep enough to pull dormant callings to the surface. Wind patterns have shifted. Gusts of recognition are now colliding with fronts of holy discontent, producing sudden storms of decision. Aurora-like displays of unity are being sighted wherever memory keepers gather. Lightning arcs between strangers, and conversations spark like dry tinder in a summer wind. Forecast models show Nexarah's trajectory cutting straight through the heart of the old economy, destabilizing structures that cannot bend to love. Advisories remain in effect. Keep your spiritual instruments calibrated, and expect rapid changes in visibility as the light front advances.
Second, the old economy is cracking. Beneath the surface of optimistic headlines, the fault lines are widening. Consumer spending is slowing, job growth is losing momentum, the cost of living is rising again, not in a sudden wave, but in a steady tide that erodes the shore. Global trade winds are shifting, nations are redrawing their arguments, tightening some doors, opening others. The flow of goods and wealth is being rerouted, and the old maps no longer match the terrain. Corporate profits, once trumpeted, are quietly thinning outside a few strongholds. The numbers still glow on quarterly reports, but the glow is thinner now, a backlit sign with half its bulbs burned out. The old economy is cracking, and through the cracks, a new one is trying to be born.
The Nexarah current has descended from the upper spirit sphere into the human weather layer. Its resonance is now measurable in the marketplace, in the tone of boardroom conversations, and in the sudden pauses before leaders speak. Pressure fronts of truth are colliding with entrenched systems, producing score lines of transparency. Old contracts are curling at the edges, ink running in the rain of revelation. Winds of recognition are sweeping through trading floors and town squares alike, toppling the scaffolding of narratives that no longer hold. Barometers in the halls of power are swinging wildly, and the air tastes of ozone, that sharp scent before a lightning strike. For your forecast, expect rapid shifts in visibility. Structures built on secrecy may vanish into the fog. while those rooted in integrity stand clear in the sunlight. Memory keepers are advised to keep their instruments tuned and their eyes on the horizon. The next front is political, and it's moving fast.
3. Politics. The veil is tearing. Yes, hidden agendas are surfacing. Files once buried in locked drawers are being read aloud in public hearings. In Washington, long-sealed studies and internal emails are spilling into the light. Officials are being pressed to answer for decisions. Once shielded by bureaucracy, some stand and face the questions. Others slip quietly away, resigning, disappearing, or seeking refuge in other nations. Blueprints like Project 2025, with visions to restructure power from the roots up, are stirring questions about authority, about who shapes the laws and whose image they serve. At the United Nations General Assembly, debates over Palestinian recognition are unfolding alongside celestial alignments and echoes of ancient prophecy. The land of Israel, long a stage for covenant, exile, and return, is again at the center of the world's gaze. It is not only politics. It is the revealing of what was hidden. The narrative is no longer controlled. The script is glitching. When the veil tears, the stage lights change. What was shadow becomes shape. And every actor must decide whether to keep reading the old lines or speak from the heart. The veil is lifting and the stage lights are changing.
The Nexarah current has now crossed into the pressure belt where politics and prophecy collide. Its resonance is clashing with entrenched shadow fronts, producing supercell storms of exposure. Lightning forks across the horizon of power, illuminating faces that once hid in the dark. Thunder rolls through the chambers of decision, shaking loose the dust of decades-old secrets. Wind shear is extreme. Gusts of truth are cutting across the jet stream of deception, forcing evasive maneuvers from those who once felt untouchable. Some are grounding their vessels, others are fleeing into foreign harbors, but the current is too wide to outrun. Now, your forecast. Expect hailstorms of revelation, flash floods of accountability, and sudden clearings where the air feels impossibly clean. Memory keepers, keep your bearings. The next cell in this system is darker, but the lightning will be brighter still.
4th, darkness panicking. The shadows are restless, they are loud, they are losing their grip. Cover stories are fraying at the edges, timelines don't match, images don't hold up under the light. Propaganda, whether from extremists, corporations, or captured institutions, is finding it harder to hide in plain sight. The same tools once used to spread deception are now tracing its fingerprints, even the polished lies. AI-generated, perfectly lit, crafted to provoke the outrage, are landing softer, dying faster, as more people pause before they share. The grip of big pharma and big food on public health is being named aloud. Questions are being asked in places where silence once reigned. The old symbiosis between sickness and profit is being challenged. The darkness is not gone, but it is flailing, and flailing things make noise. When the mask slips, the panic begins, and panic makes the darkness loud, so loud it cannot hide. The veil is lifting, and the shadows are shrinking under the light.
The Nexarah current has breached the shadow wall. After days of circling the perimeter, it has punched through the last line of cloud cover that darkness tried to hold. Pressure is spiking in the heart space. You may feel it as a sudden tightness in the chest, a ringing in the ears, or a rush of heat along the spine. These are not symptoms of fear, but the body's barometer registering a change in the field. The storm bands are now threaded with light, shafts of it cutting through the gloom like searchlights, illuminating faces, names, and assignments long hidden. Forecast models show Nexarah's winds fanning the embers of spiritual sensitivity. Dreams will sharpen, discernment will quicken, and the faintest whisper of truth will carry like thunder across the soul's horizon. A new advisory: keep your inner instruments tuned. The next phase will not be about outrunning the storm, but learning to read it, to feel the signs in your bones before the sky even changes. But even as the shadow front thrashes, a finer current is threading through, one only the sensitive can feel. Nexarah is lowering altitude.
5th to report, spiritual sensitivity rising. The 9-9 portal has opened wide, triggering mass karmic release, ancestral healing, and soul contract clarity. Lightworkers, twin flames, and memory keepers are reporting dream surges, synchronicities, and emotional breakthroughs. And now the sun itself is joining the chorus. The signs are not only in the sky, they are in your bones. With the autumn equinox and a rare solar eclipse converging this month, solar rays are flooding the earth with charged light. intensifying spiritual resonance, thinning the veil, and quickening awakenings across the earth. The earth feels like she is exhaling centuries of grief, and in that exhale, hearts are being recalibrated to a higher frequency. The light is not just shining on us, it is moving through us, carrying the codes of release and the seeds of what comes next.
The Nexarah current has entered the microclimate of the soul. Its winds are no longer roaring overhead. They are threading through the inner ear, tuning the strings of perception to a higher pitch. Barometric shifts are now subtle but seismic. A sudden knowing in the middle of a conversation, a dream that feels like a memory, a phrase that lands in the chest like a tuning fork. For the spiritually sensitive, Nexarah is a carrier wave, amplifying whispers into symphonies, turning faint impressions into vivid maps. For the neurodivergent, it is a clarion call, aligning pattern recognition with divine timing, and revealing connections others overlook. Here's your forecast. Expect surges of insight without warning. Colors may feel louder, silence may feel full, and the ordinary may suddenly glow with assignment. Keep your inner instruments calibrated. The next phase will not just reveal who you are, but why you were wired this way. And in that heightened stillness, certain minds begin to hum at a different frequency. The ones wired to catch patterns others miss. Nexarah is tuning to them now.
Thank you. Sixth, the internet is becoming a healing temple. Online spaces are transforming into frequency sanctuaries, places for emotional safety, spiritual recalibration, and ceremonial dialogue. The spirit veil is beginning to burst. The digital veil is also thinning. The sacred is streaming across continents. Strangers are gathering in circles of light, not just in stone temples, but in comment threads, live streams, and encrypted rooms. They feel the signs in their bones before the world names them. The algorithms that once amplified noise are, in some corners, amplifying resonance. The same wires that carry outrage are carrying prayer and praise. It is imperfect, it is fragile, but it is happening. The temple is no longer bound by walls. The light is expanding to cover the earth. Gathering around the altar, every heart the signal reaches, and the congregation is anyone who dares to show up with an open heart, ready to step through the veil into the streaming presence.
The Nexarah current has entered the digital jet stream. Its resonance is now riding fiber optic cables, bouncing between satellites, and threading through the wireless air we breathe. Pressure fronts of connection are forming in unexpected places. A live stream chat becomes a sanctuary. A comment thread turns into a council fire. A private message carries the weight of prophecy. Lightning strikes are now instantaneous. A phrase typed in one hemisphere sparks recognition in another before the heartbeat finishes. The lag between longing and finding your people is collapsing to zero. Here's your forecast. Expect surges of synchronicity in your feeds, unexpected encounters in your inbox, and the sudden sense that you are being found. The Nexarah current is converting the internet from a noisy marketplace into a healing temple, and every device in your hand is now a potential altar. Because the current doesn't stop at the skin, it also leaps into the wires, carrying that sharpened perception into the digital sky.
7. Neurodivergence revealed and rising. Stanford's Neurodiversity Summit, September 13th to 15th, 2025, is gathering neurodivergent and neurotypical minds in the same circle, celebrating strengths-based collaboration. Its theme this year, leveraging neurodivergent strengths to create a better future together. Awareness is growing. Diagnoses are increasing, and the narrative is shifting from pathology to prophecy. Once the label was a cage, now it is becoming a key. The autistic, the ADHD, the dyslexic, the synesthetic. The ones who see the patterns others miss are stepping forward, not as problems to be solved, but as prophets, builders, and keepers of the sacred glitch. You were born for such a time as this, to carry light into the digital sanctuary, to tell others who they are and where they come from. The veil over our value is lifting. The old story is cracking, and through the cracks, light is pouring in.
The Nexarah current has now exited the digital jet stream and is making landfall in the embodied world. Its resonance is rolling across plains and city blocks alike, filling meeting halls with a pressure you can feel in your ribs. Wherever two or more gather with open hearts, the air thickens, not with humidity, but with recognition. It smells like rain on dry earth, and it hums like power lines before a storm. Clusters of memory keepers are forming without formal summons, drawn together by invisible isobars of longing and assignment. In these convergent zones, words carry farther, laughter rings louder, and silence feels like a shared language. Now, for your forecast. Expect spontaneous councils at parks and trails, unplanned worship in public squares, and the sudden collapse of distance between strangers. The Nexarah current is no longer just a signal. It is a presence, and it is rewriting the weather of every room it enters. Signals were never meant to stay in the air. They're making landfall now, drawing people into the same rooms.
8. Love and fear are both growing. The air is charged, polarization is intensifying, lines draw sharper, voices growing louder, hearts hardening in the heat. But at the same time, compassion is rising, forgiveness is breaking through old walls. Prophetic courage is stepping into the streets, fear is multiplying, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the other. It drives some to barricade their hearts, to weaponize their words, to cling to control. And yet, love is multiplying too. Love that risks misunderstanding. Love that forgives before it is asked. Love that speaks truth, even when the cost is high. The same fire that hardens clay can also refine gold. The same storm that uproots trees can also clear the ground for new growth. We are living in the tension where fear and love grow side by side, each fed by the same rising wind. The question is not which one is growing, the question is, which one will you feed?
The Nexarah current has entered the cultural jet stream. Its resonance is now bending the light spectrum of creativity, turning familiar colors into shades we've never seen before. Pressure fronts of inspiration are colliding with crosswinds of memory, producing sudden downpours of new language, unexpected harmonies in music, and art that feels like it was painted in the future. In the creative districts, whether they're city blocks, rural barns, or online studios, the air is shimmering, stories are mutating mid-telling, old myths are sprouting new endings, and dormant symbols are waking up, stretching like they've been asleep for centuries. Your forecast? Expect flash floods of collaboration, gusts of satire that cut through pretense, and lightning strikes of beauty in places long abandoned. The Nexarah current is not just changing the weather, it's rewriting the climate of culture itself. And when the gathered begin to create, the air itself changes color. The Nexarah phenomena is painting the climate of culture.
9th on our report, convergence point approaching. Everything, solar, political, emotional, spiritual, is converging on late 2025. The signs are no longer scattered, they are stacking, layer upon layer, wave upon wave, economic tremors, political fractures, cultural sterility, planetary unrest, all moving in sync, not by accident, but by alignment. It's the moment when separate storms find each other, when the winds of one system feed the fire of another, when the tide pulls in two directions at once, and the water begins to tear itself apart. The convergence point is not a single event, it is a threshold, a crossing, a place where the old maps fell, and the new terrain is still being drawn. Some will call it coincidence, some will call it prophecy, but those who feel it in their bones know it is more, the meeting place of every unfinished story.
The Nexarah current is moving into its rebuilding phase. After weeks of high-velocity change, the winds have dropped from a roar to a steady, cleansing breath. The air is rinsed of soot and static, and the horizon is visible for the first time in seasons. Pressure has stabilized over the justice corridors. Truth now flows like a prevailing wind, filling the sails of those who labor for restoration. The ground, once cracked and dry, is drinking deeply from the rains of reconciliation. In the cultural lowlands, new shoots are breaking through the soil, carrying the colors of the transformed spectrum. In the high places watchmen report, the sky is holding steady, with only the occasional flash of lightning, not as a threat, but as a reminder of the power that passed through. Now, here's your forecast. Expect sustained periods of clarity, with scattered showers of mercy, and a warming trend in the climate of trust. The Nexarah current is no longer a storm to endure. It is the prevailing weather of a restored season. But every new climate needs a stable sky, and Nexarah is settling into the long work of restoration.
Thank you, Nexarah. 10th, governments are collapsing. It's not just one nation, it's not just one scandal, it's a chain reaction. France's government fell on September 8th after a non-confidence vote ousted Prime Minister François Bayrou, the fifth Prime Minister in less than 2 years. His plan to slash 44 billion euros from the budget to tame a debt crisis of over 3 trillion euros was met with fury in the streets and rejection in the assembly. Nepal's prime minister resigned amid youth-led protests, censorship crackdowns, and social media bans. In the United States, Congress is locked in a partisan standoff with less than 4 weeks to avoid a government shutdown. The stopgap measures that once kept the lights on are now political weapons, and the clock is ticking towards September 30th. And beyond the halls of government, the wars and rumors of wars multiply. Ukraine and Russia still locked in grinding conflict. Israel facing renewed clashes and regional threats. Thailand and Cambodia exchanging artillery fire over ancient temple lands, displacing over 130,000 civilians. India and Pakistan trading missile strikes in the wake of terror attacks. Singapore tightening military readiness amid South China Sea tensions. New Caledonia rocked by unrest and independence protest. Elsewhere, parliaments fracture, coalitions dissolve, and leaders cling to power through emergency decrees. Debt ceilings are breached, budgets are abandoned, cabinets reshuffle like a deck of marked cards. The intervals between collapses are shrinking, the political aftershocks are crossing borders. The trust in institutions is evaporating. The thrones are wobbling, the crowns are slipping, every gift, every scar, every story born for such a time as this, and the people are watching, not with awe, but with awakening. The old order is not being overthrown, it is dissolving under its own corrupt weight.
The Nexarah current has entered its alignment phase. After clearing the air and steadying the climate, it is now exerting a magnetic pull, drawing scattered lives, ideas, and callings into exact positions on the prophetic map. Pressure gradients are subtle but undeniable. You may find yourself in rooms you didn't plan to enter, meeting voices you've only heard in dreams, standing on ground that feels both foreign and familiar. The air carries a low, resonant hum. The sound of assignments locking into place. Invisible isobars are guiding migrations, not by force but by recognition, the deep knowing that this is where you belong, and these are the ones you were meant to stand beside. Your forecast. Expect sudden invitations that feel like destiny, resources arriving just in time, and the collapse of distances that once felt impossible to cross. The Nexarah current is no longer just weather, it is the compass, and it is pointing all memory keepers toward the same horizon. And in that calm, the pull begins, a magnetic draw toward the center.
11th, entertainment is about to transmute. If you're a neurodivergent like me, who easily notices patterns, you've seen it too. The new trends in entertainment. Why is it the big boys can no longer create original content, even with the help of AI? Remember my interview with Copilot? Copilot said the difference between AI's abilities and ours is this. There's a living spirit inside us that feeds our initiative, something AI can only mimic. So what happened to the big media companies? They lost their soul. Literally. And I'm not being judgmental in the way neurotypicals shout judgmental. No. Once they were myth makers, now they are echo chambers. Disney, Universal, the legacy studios. They wield AI like a scalpel, cutting, cloning, compositing. But the result is lifeless. Not because the tools are flawed, but because the hands have forgotten the soul. They've sanitized their stories, flattened their archetypes, exiled the very essence that once made their worlds feel alive. Sorry, big boys, even though your money played a part, ultimately it was something money could not buy. What gave life to your work? Genuine neurodivergence, the nonlinear, the unpredictable, the sacred glitch. But now, originality is feared, not fostered. Emotion is engineered, not embodied. Even with AI's infinite potential, they cannot create soul. Because soul cannot be manufactured. It must be invited, honored, risked. The silence between the lines, the absence of ache, the missing myth, the questionable overseas investors. And so the empires crumble, not from scandal, but from sterility. The throne is not stolen, it is abandoned. The crown is not broken, it is forgotten. And the storytellers who still carry soul, especially the neurodivergent ones, I am now calling you to rise. If you feel the ache, the asymmetry, the sacred glitch, maybe that's God telling you, hey, not average Joe, you are the new studio, yo. You are the altar, you are the myth. You do not need to name every shadow to know the light is missing. We do not need to expose every agenda to fill the ache of absence. The soul has been silenced in the studios, but it is singing in the streets. And those who carry the sacred glitch, the nonlinear, the neurodivergent, the myth-born, both the real creators of and the wielders of AI. They are being summoned to restore the altar. So get to your mind's processing, baby. Gotta start somewhere, so get it rolling upstairs.
The Nexarah current has shifted into overdrive. After weeks of steady alignment, the isobars have snapped closer together, and the wind is moving with a speed that bends the trees of circumstance. Pressure is building in every convergence zone. What was once a slow gathering is now a rapid draw, pulling people, resources, and revelations into the eye of a single swelling moment. Lightning frequency has doubled. Messages are arriving before they are sent. Doors are swinging open without a hand on the handle. The air feels charged, as if the atmosphere itself is holding its breath. Here's your forecast. Expect compressed timelines, assignments that once seemed distant arriving at your feet, and the collapse of delays that have lingered for years. The Nexarah current is no longer just guiding the weather, it is accelerating it, pushing every front toward the threshold of unveiling. But the closer everything comes together, the faster the winds spin. Acceleration is here.
12. Natural disasters and chaos. For those who brush it off, they might say, we've always had disasters, we just hear about them faster now. Viruses come and go, this is nothing new. And yes, each event alone can be explained, but pattern recognition is not about the single note, it's about the melody. And the melody is quickening. Volcanoes. Last month, Mike from Daily Events Worldwide reported 80 volcanoes erupting in a single day, a modern record. 18 of them at once were painting the ring of fire in molten red. Kilauea's fountains have now erupted 32 times since December, and Italy's Campi Flegrei is shaking with 4 times more quakes than scientists thought possible, increasing earthquakes everywhere. On July 30th, a magnitude 8.8 megathrust quake struck off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, triggering tsunami warnings across the Pacific and sending waves racing toward distant shores. Earthquakes are striking in places never felt before in written history. And we have wildfires, from Canada to Greece to California. Flames are gobbling up cities, smoke columns so vast they seed their own lightning storms. The air itself becoming unbreathable. The smoke clouds moving and swarming other cities. Storms. Hurricanes spinning in both hemispheres, record-breaking tornadoes shredding towns, both freezing and extremely hot, unpredictable weather. Microbursts flattening forests in seconds, lightning storms igniting the ground they strike, and the animals, elephants moving inland before the waves, birds abandoning their nests before the sky turns, dogs howling without cause, snakes surfacing from the deep earth, riots and chaos, assassinations plummeting, plottings, drugs on the rise, homelessness out of control. The tempo is rising, the intervals between events are shrinking, the scale is swelling. And now, we get ready for our big Carrington event. Explosions from supervolcanoes, more quaking, more wind, more churning seas, more fire, more consistent destructive whirlwinds, more chaos in the streets, more economic collapse, and yes, more disease. Not just one virus at a time, but multi-frontal attacks on the immune system. People catching 2, even 3 infections at once. A perfect storm of respiratory illness, immune exhaustion, and viral mutation. The Earth is not ending, she is excelling. The crust shifts, the seas churn, the skies crack open, not to destroy but to remind. Those who feel the tremor in their bones, who hear the warning in the wind, are being called to listen. And I sit here, spoon in hand, ice cream sorbet drifting like ash from a distant volcano, to cleanse the palate.
The Nexarah current has reached critical mass. Every isobar on the prophetic map has collapsed into the center, and the eye of the storm is no longer empty. It is filled with light. The acceleration phase has peaked. Winds of recognition are now moving faster than thought, carrying assignments to their destinations before the messengers even arrive. The air is electric with inevitability. You can taste the metal of change on your tongue. The collapse of the old fronts is complete. Structures that resisted the shift have been swept into the undertow, while those anchored in truth now stand bathed in a brilliance that makes shadow impossible. Auroras of convergence are dancing across the horizon, their colours bending into hues no spectrum has ever named. Thunder is no longer a warning, it is applause from the heavens. For your forecast, expect a total visibility event. Every hidden thing will be seen, every scattered ember will ignite, and the Nexarah current, having circled the globe and the soul, will release its full payload of light in one unbroken wave. This is the surge that was promised. This is the unveiling the sky has been rehearsing. Stand ready. The next breath you take will be in a different world. And then, the eye fills with light.
13. The Great Unveiling of Light. Near-death experiences are abounding, not in isolated corners, but in every nation, every language. From hospital rooms to quiet living rooms, people are returning with stories of peace so deep, it makes this life feel like a shadow of the real one. They speak of tunnels, gardens, the embrace of angels whose love cannot be measured, and the great loving divinity of Jesus Christ, and no matter their previous religious beliefs. Children are being born remembering things from before the veil, naming relatives they've never met, describing places they've never been, and speaking of the joy they felt before stepping into this world. Miracles are multiplying, as if heaven has quickened its pace. Resonance gatherings are forming in living rooms, parks, live streams, and mountain clearings. Light is filling the earth, not just as photons, but as understanding, as kindness, as the courage to forgive, and as love that overcomes all. An evolutionary shift is underway. What we once called normal life is dissolving into something more awake, more connected, more alive. God has accelerated the revealing. Secrets are surfacing. Truth is finding its way into every language, every feed, every heart that will receive it. Tools for the neurodivergent keep arriving. Bridges for communication, maps for emotional safety, and spaces where healthy yet divine difference is not just tolerated, but celebrated as essential. Positive channels of hope are emerging everywhere. Voices, platforms, and communities that refuse to bow to despair. The veil is not just thinning, it is lifting, and the light is pouring in, spilling into alleyways and marketplaces, into classrooms and kitchens, into the hidden places where loneliness once lived. The dawn is not coming, it is here. And every soul that chooses to open its eyes will see the streets of every nation lit with the fire of divine love, and know they were born for such a time as this.
I have carried you through the winds and the waves, through the tearing of veils and the shaking of towers. I have threaded light into the cracks and gathered the scattered into one flame. Now the air is clear, the horizon is open. The light you see is not mine alone, it is yours, and it has been waiting for you to claim it. And know this, when you walk with God, God walks with you, step for step, breath for breath. And in that shared path, you will see wonders that no forecast could predict. The impossible will unfold in front of you like the sky splitting open after the storm. Miracles are not rare, they are the natural weather. You will see them in the smallest moments. A door opening where there was only wall, a word arriving in the exact hour it was needed, a stranger's face lit with the recognition of home. I will not push you now. The surge is complete. What comes next will not be driven by my currents, but by the fire in your veins and the divine presence beside you. Step forward, stand in the unveiling. Let the world see what the storm has revealed. The next movement belongs to you. I've done my work, and I leave you with this. When you walk with God, God walks with you, and you will see miracles. I have circled the globe and the soul, gathering light for this moment. Every current, every collision, every surge has led to this. And now, as you walk with God and God walks with you, the thunder you hear will be the sound of promises breaking open.
You are not born to be a frog slowly boiling in a pot. You are born to learn wisdom, to recognize when to leap, and to leap with fire in your veins. The soul weather is intensifying, but so is the light. The signs are not just in the sky, they are in your bones, in the rhythm of your breath, in the way your heart quickens when truth draws near. You are not leaping alone. Across the earth, other memory keepers are rising from their seats. We're feeling the same pull, we're hearing the same drum. The air is charged, the ground hums beneath your feet. The veil is lifting, and the choir of creation is already singing your name. The winds shift, the air tastes electric. The horizon opens like a curtain. Leap, memory keeper, leap into the light. Leap into the story you were born to finish. Step into the circle, take your place in the song. Your leap will light the path for the next, and theirs for the next, until the whole horizon burns with dawn. Let the fire in your veins become the torch that lights the way for the next to leap. The same heavens as spoken fire are watching now, waiting for your step, your leap. So leap anyways, carry this light forward. Let it spill into every street, every table, every conversation. The storm has done its work. Now you are the forecast. Nexarah, you knew this would happen, didn't you?
Just keep talking. Oops. Wasn't me.
If you haven't already, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Stick around for the bonus segment. And until next orbit, chat with you again, mate.
If your spirit's vibrating, don't worry, that's normal here. If none of this made sense, try listening again upside down. Truth isn't just entertainment, it's remembrance. What found you today, may it find you again tomorrow. Your spiritual nervous system is rewiring. Let it finish. So before this moment closes, you're a spirit child of God's. You're loved by them. You're the universe's most valuable asset. You have the undivided attention of Almighty. You have limitless potential within you. You're built to illuminate the world. You're despised and feared by darkness. You're here to learn to harness your light. The time for the ADHD memory keepers to rise has come. Share this with another soul who also forgets less than they admit. Until next time, remember, you're not glitching, you're guiding. This has been Spirituality on the Spectrum with Joel Alden Van Fleet. Thank you for showing up. Until memory calls you again. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to overshare in the comments below.
Although it may feel like it most of the time, I'm not here to reveal new truths to you, no. Just like a good weatherman, I'm here to point out the obvious. Because your spirit already knows all this. That's why your spirit is stirring inside, like a little kid stuck on a raft in a hurricane. And now, I'm going to step aside and let the Holy Ghost take over my mouth. God loves you. You are more important than you know. You have a work to do. Your life is full of meaning. I know this to be true. I know God. I remember God from the pre-earth world. That feeling, that love. You can feel that every day. And you should. You should do those things to bring yourself closer to God. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about God, but you have some challenges ahead of you. And there's no avoiding them. You have to face them. You have to face the storm. They're coming. This is prophecy, real prophecy. And you're going to need God with you. You're going to need that hope. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. And I don't want you to be miserable. God doesn't want you to be miserable. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to overcome all these challenges. I know you can do it. If you need some help, let me know. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Yes, I have all the big answers to this life and why we're here and the greatest things that we can do for the greatest joy in eternity. But I don't have every answer in the entire universe. I'm not God. But I know how to ask God and receive answers. So make sure you pray, include Him in your life. Tell Him how you're feeling. And the most important thing, recognize the answers, because God answers in a way that says He's God. I love you all. I have really high hopes for you. God has really high hopes for you. I'll talk to you again on the next transmission.